Hello, we're still in the middle of day 3. Well, not quite the middle. We're at the end. I think this is the last painting stream. We're on the last painting stream of man.
You did it 3 times.
3 times. 3 times, because I gotta read the chat over here. Day 3 of Ministravaganza is coming to an end. We're on our final paint stream. This one is some awesome Hydra train. What is this called? Tools for World Domination. I can never remember the titles, even though I read them right before. Tools for World Domination. We're going to be painting up the Hydra train. We can talk about the Hydra train, talk about maybe some of the design of it and process. I know there was a lot of questions in some earlier streams about hard plastic production, so and like the design process we have. So if you have those kind of questions, this is the stream to ask it in because I can answer those. So let's just get to painting. I'll explain what we got going on here on this tank. Kicking on my light and get going. So we got the tank. I got the hatch is able to pop open. That hatch seals on really good. So you can glue it down, you can glue it up. It's got an optional little Red Skull miniature for the ultimate encounter. I haven't decided if I'm going to glue my hatch down or leave it. I don't know yet. I might just do 2 tanks. One for regular play, one for ultimate encounters. Very cool thing about this in the engineering process, we got the tank turret, but you also have the gun emplacement. The gun emplacement has this missile pod that you saw on the stream or on the renders, but it also has a twin laser turret, which is very, very cool. And then the best part is you can do that. So all the keys work the exact same, so you can kind of build whatever you kind of want for whatever you're doing. This is a very fun and neat part of the kit. Yeah, this is the Hydra train coming for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Inside the box, it also, inside the tank particularly, there's a Red Skull, and there's an ultimate encounter for Red Skull driving around, running fools over, trying to take over the world. The other kit is a twin set of turrets, and then there is the power generator, which I didn't glue this on just for painting purposes. This is like a power generator, which is another train kit. So, you missed some MCP announcements. We did a whole bunch early yesterday. Quite a few. All right, let's get to painting this. I did airbrushing on this. I primed it all black, added my Hold Your Blue, airbrushed some highlights. Then I started adding like a very, very light blue. You can see here something very akin to that to it, and brought it up even more. And I think I did another step to highlight it. But now we're going to edge highlight it. So I'm going to take some of that light blue. I'm going to take some Hold Your Blue. I'm going to use a great big flat brush, and I'm going to be just edging some of this paneling with just the flat of my brush. I don't think I'm going to blend out anything more than what I did with the airbrush. I don't need a lot of fancy work for terrain to make it look good. If I was doing the studio version, I'd probably go a little bit more with a bunch of blending and stuff. But big flat panels work perfectly fine for getting your terrain on the table. And that's really what it's about. Getting some beautiful set decoration on those game tables to sell that story. It's one of the unique things about, miniature games is terrain and what it does for the look and feel, right? It's not like a board game. I love board games. where you just have, a flat cardboard surface. Miniature games provide storytelling options and that experience, that three-dimensional experience, and it's unique. It's one of the draws I had to miniature games very early. In the yonder years of 1990, one might say. So I'm just moving the piece around to the best angle, using the flat of that brush. Oh, that's a chunky one, doesn't matter. We're just gonna edge this whole tank. I'm not gonna do the under, like on the bottom, not with this color. I might go a darker color on the bottom, but I don't like the same highlight all the way around. It comes in 3. It's just a torso. The Red Skull is just a torso. He's got like a little peg that fits into the cupola. You don't have to put the front on. I mean, with all hobby, you don't have to do any option. You can do whatever you want. It's your hobby. Chop the arms off. You do not have to put the front of that on if you don't want to. You don't have to put the turret on. Chop the tracks off. Put wheels on it. You are empowered and gifted the ability to do so. What kind of questions we got? You may need to zoom in or slide up a bit. Yeah, I know. I need to stay down just a little bit. How many different? I think I answered that one. How many different? 3 kits. The tank is by itself. And then you get 2 turrets in one kit, one box, and then you get 2 generators in another. And this was a lot of fun. It's really neat when we get opportunity to kind of design something. And, when we get a chance to design something, and this was one of those opportunities where we had an idea. And just kind of ran with it. And I did a bunch of research and drew up a couple of like rough sketches. And then we got a concept artist to actually design them. Then we turned them over to Evan, who is one of our engineers here, and he sculpted them. And it was really amazing, that moment where he was just like, wouldn't it be cool if it had missile pods? And I'm like, yeah, but we already concepted it. We're too late. And he's like, well, I already sculpted them. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess, great question then. Why, like, you did it. The concrete front. Yeah, you don't have to put the concrete front on if you don't want to. You don't gotta. I won't be mad. Have you thought about releasing your old concept sketchbook? I do actually have some actual physical concepts. We were talking about those last night. I actually have some physical concepts that were drawn on with pen and paper in the very early times of Marvel Crisis Protocol, like the bases and the templates, the original core box terrain set, the cosmic terrain set. Those were all hand drawn, really poorly by me. I'm no concept artist, but there are hand drawn versions of those in a secret stash somewhere. That is too chunky. We're going to use the second brush, clean that up. We'll come back to that later. So it's already starting to come together. You're getting a funky angle here. Sometimes I feel like a contortionist whenever you're painting miniatures, because you're like, just trying to figure out an angle to get your brush just at that right spot to hit that plane and not hit anything else. I think I need a smaller brush for getting close up there. Like these. You want to make sure you hit those edges, but not touch below the edges. Let's run down that side there. Big old brush. What looks sculpted in? Any particular inspirations for the tank or difficulties? There was no real difficulties. We kind of had sort of a couple of shape languages based off a couple comic book images. This isn't based off anything directly. It's more inspired. I had like a silhouette in mind. Very metal sluggy. Like I wanted that chunky tank feel. So really we just start with like a silhouette. And like some design beats that I passed to the concept art. So this is like a low flat turret, big plasma cannon, chunky feel, and then the front here, I really wanted this this big chunky metal front. But outside of that, we had like a rough silhouette, and fortunately, the concept artist who worked on it, Nate, I've worked with before, and a good friend of the studio's, and just kind of knew, like, when you work with somebody, kind of know what they're looking for, right? That's the joy of working in the studio. Um, any one of the engineers, sculptors, I can go talk to them, and I kind of know what they're looking for, and they kind of learn what I'm looking for. So we can actually use very very technical art words, like make it more hrog, like just it needs to like it needs to have that cannon should be not like there's a like the, it's different. It's different, and like you learn kind of like what each person kind of wants. So that's kind of where the tank came from. I think it only went through like maybe 3 drafts, if that. It was a real small amount of drafts, and then the sculpting, of course, as I said, it was sculpted by Evan Kang, one of our engineers / sculptors. I'm gonna say engineer / sculptors, like y'all sculpt. You guys are sculptors. Just magicians here at Atomic Mass, and he took one look at the concept and was just like, I want to sculpt this, like this is mine. And Evan has like a great eye for tanks and robots, and he took the concept and he followed it and yet made it his own. And he added stuff. Like I said, he added these missile pods. Was not part of the concept. These additional guns on the side were all him. I don't think those were on there. I think those were all him. He just went wild, detailing it all out and just making it a very unique Marvel Crisis Protocol experience. So a lot of fun. And then, of course, whenever somebody internally sculpts it, the engineering is very easy. An external sculptor isn't sculpting for production. Internal, the engineers, when they get to sculpt something, they engineer it while they go along. So they're building the engineering process into the sculpt time to make sure the parting is easy and simple, and all the draft angles. We talk a lot about draft angles and undercuts. Like anytime you ask the question, why is this in this many parts, or why is it, the answer 99.9% of the time, the answer is draft angles. And it's interesting because like sometimes you might look at the part and be like, but I don't see why. But if you put that part onto the part it connects to and that part it connects to, then you see why. Like sometimes it's a whole is how you see why it's cut, not the part you're just looking, not the individual part. Because obviously the individual part makes sense because it was drafted. Like, so it's hard to see that. Can we see the missile turret on the tank? Yeah! Boop. I think that looks super cool. Nice little... And then the laser turret. The twin lasers. I think is super cool. The one I doubt anybody does is this one. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there does this. Nobody? Nobody's going to do this, right? Somebody's going to do this. Just stationary Red Skull. Just hanging out. in his concrete bunker cannon. I doubt we see that. Yeah, heck, you just put this back here too. He's just all turtled up. Maybe we'll see it. I don't know. I'm not judging. One train kit comes with the generators. One train kit comes with the gun emplacements, and one train kit comes with a tank. Trace terrain kits. You get 2 turrets in a kit. You get 2 generators in a kit, and then you get 1 tank in a kit. 3 kits. Yes. It'd be a fun video to watch him sculpt. Maybe we could do that someday. I don't know. Am I having a stroke? What am I stroke? What? I don't work with miniatures, but I'm an artist, and those phrases make sense to me. Yeah, it's an art brain thing, right? It's like we think in pictures, and sometimes the words that you choose paint a better picture than technical jargon. Like, I like the expanding circumference of the cylinder to elongate into a perpendicular sphere. No, I try. See, I'm not. That's why I'm an artist, because I go, make the cannon, give it that. And Kevin goes, oh yeah, I got that. And he's like this, and I'm like, I mean, a little bit more. Or the other way. What about this? Whoa, too far. Pull back, man. Sometimes these projects, like, it's, hey Kevin, I need a proof of concept. And then like 3 days later, Kevin's like, you mean this finished thing? Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's laughing because it's true right now. And he knows what I'm talking about. You mean this? Just knock that out. I just need a proof of concept. You prove the concept. Like we've done some wacky proof of concepts here. I think my favorite is the Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, where I had the idea, and Schick was just like, I don't know, man. Is that gonna work? I'm like, it's totally gonna work. He's like, I don't know, man. Is that gonna work? I'm like, it's totally gonna work. So then I walked to my desk and I pulled out a extra Hawkeye, a piece of pink foam, blue tack, like literally like poster tack, and some toothpicks, and made a Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme coming out of a portal with Dark Dimension Cocoa Puffs. And I was like, proof of concept, see, it totally works. He's like, all right, make it. Fine. Do it. So sometimes that's how you make stuff. The we talk about people standing in chairs and posing. Like, that's just proof of concept. Like, that's not the pose. Like, that's the proof of concept. You kind of got to test to make sure that the pose works. We talked a little bit about this in the stream yesterday morning about the new Captain America, and how we were really looking at like comic book covers of Captain America, and that very classic, like, running towards you, shield up. And so I kind of drew the pose from a comic book cover. Like, straight from a comic book cover. And then I was like, okay, so if I spin this around and extrapolate, like where he actually lives in like space and reality, it doesn't work. It totally breaks. His body does not do what the comic book cover would insinuate, because the cover is only showing one super cool angle, right? So, and we of course work in a three-dimensional medium, and it has to look good from every angle. So that new Captain America was like kind of adjusted several times to be that comic book cover pose that we were going for that new Captain America, but also maintain like maintain realism or believability as you spun him 360. You know, a lot of comic poses. I love comic book art. I wanted to be a comic book artist for a large chunk of my childhood. I think most of us working here had that notion at one time or another, right? You draw for one angle in a comic book, or you draw for that moment. And for us, we got to think in three-dimensionality. So like a lot of the cool comic book poses don't work. Spider-Man being like one of the most egregious ones. I know Spider-Man as a character is one of Schick's favorites. I know it's Kevin's like actual favorite. Ben Reilly, not Peter Parker. Oh, no, I'm joking. It's Peter Parker, not Ben Reilly. Peter Parker is the OG best Spider-Man. I was teasing. It wasn't funny. I love Spider-Man, but like a lot of the comic book poses just don't work once you put him in three dimensions. So he's such a tricky character to kind of work with. First off, he's like a spring. I always say he's like a spring. He's either coiled or sprung. Those are your two Spider-Man poses. You know, you can find examples of him standing around, but let's be real, those aren't the iconic omes. You know, maybe he's sad and walking away from a trash can. Like that's about it. But Spider-Man is a spring. He's either coil or sprung, and he's always in the air. He's swinging from a building, and unfortunately, in three-dimensional miniatures world, that's really really hard. That's really really difficult because we have a base that we have to use. We have to connect it to a base. So getting a unique and powerful pose that also connects to a base. I remember when Josh first came on, and he wanted to do some poses, and I was like, okay, well, first off, you always got to remember the base. You have to start kind of philosophically at the base. It's what anchors and grounds our characters, and what, you know, it's what you glue the miniature to make it be a miniature and make it work. Josh was like, got it. And then like 3 days later, he sends me a message. He's just like, this is way harder than I thought. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's tricky, and you gotta kind of, as you work in miniatures, you start to train yourself to be thinking about the base. But if that's not the way you think, you have to kind of teach yourself. So it's really interesting developing high flyers to always remember the base, not the treble. Like his last stream, I'm gonna say nonsense, you know. Day 3 of Ministravaganza, last stream. This is almost an AMA. Like, these people are not taking advantage of my mental state. Whereas I mean, you can ask me anything. I won't answer anything. Some things, though. Little tiny highlights. You can also do funky stuff, like if you got your brush nice and wet and you got a really good line. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Who's going to know? Not until we find out. I'm going to hold my pinky. I'm going to anchor myself. Can you see it? Can you see it? Right above. 1, 2, 3. Get your muscles going. Memorize the movement. And swipe. And swipe. And swipe. And put some little highlights across those big flat planes. Just makes it more visually interesting. I usually do that at the end after I get everything kind of highlighted. More X-Men are always in the works. Don't worry. Don't worry. Trap questions never work on me, so don't try trap questions. Oh, a Hydra Stomper? That'd be pretty cool. I always wonder what the Sorcerer Supreme was standing on. That it's a portal. It's Dark Dimension. Like if you look at the Dark Dimension terrain, those are just the same elements coming out of the portal. It's just a slab of, there. As I always say, there's a crisis in the city, in the Marvel Crisis Protocol universe, and it's up to you to save the city. So. The rubble isn't random. It's not a random rock. This is chaos. And so I just figured that that's like a fallen piece of building or maybe an overpass or whatnot. It was a way to lift the miniature at 45-ish degrees and to give something for the portal to come out and to show the dark dimension. Like that's the philosophical stuff you got to think about when you're making the miniature. You have this idea. Okay, I want Doctor Strange coming out of a portal, right? So we kind of did that with the first Doctor Strange. I'm like, well, how can we amp this up, right? Because when you do a second character, it's like, well, how do you amp this up, right? When you look at Magneto, like it's immediately like, well, how do you make that better? Well, there's an answer. Always, right? There's always an answer. Doctor Strange, how do we make that better? We take the lessons we learned. So we went the portal, and we had done Dormammu, we'd done Dark Dimension terrain. At the same time, we were working on all this stuff as a wave. So philosophically, we wanted to tie that narrative note back to the miniature. And so it's like, okay, well, it needs something deep. It needs something to pocket into, right? Because we're dealing with plastic. We're dealing with hard plastic that has limitations. How do we make it work for us? So you need something to work with. And the thing I landed on that was that lovely piece of fallen overpass, whatever, concrete. I thought it worked out pretty good. Very dynamic sculpt. When people see that, they know exactly what's happening, right? It tells a really cool story. It's visually interesting. It's unique. Just something you don't really see in miniatures. Yeah, and that's kind of the fun of like being able to work on some of these properties, like Marvel and Marvel Crisis Protocol is you get this unique opportunity to explore stuff that might not be explored in miniatures. Superheroes sort of ask very interesting questions from a three-dimensional miniature design space. So it's been a very wonderful gift, an opportunity to work on that stuff, and especially with the talented people that we have working here to help bring those things to life and to have inspiration of their own and bring them to the table. And to rein me in when I'm on like full like this is gonna be so big, and everybody's like that's too big, like it's gotta be this, and I'm like that's fine too. Head in the clouds, feet in the sky. Wait, what? Feet on the ground. My tummy's gurgling. I don't know why. Sorry if you're picking that up on the microphone. We just had sandwiches. Questions, questions, questions. Oh, I love Shumagora. What a great design. Modern day terrain is a switch for me. Everything's usually fantasy or future. Yeah, or ruins. Yeah, yeah. It's it's really nice to paint some modern stuff, and then something like this terrain kit here provides like a little bit of that sci tech. Like that's the joy of, you know, Hydra, right? They have that interesting sci tech that, you know, still feels modern, still feels like it's part of the Marvel Crisis. I mean, it definitely is 100% part of Marvel Crisis Protocol universe. But it adds that little touch of sci-tech flavor. And then you have like that Asgardian terrain that we showed off on the game stream earlier. That brings back some of that fantasy. So you get that little bit of mix back and forth all over. That just adds like some really unique opportunities for hobbyists to tell stories on their tabletops. You know, that game earlier between Josh and Schick, I walked in to the stream studio on break before the stream started and saw the table set up, and I was just like, this is what I'm talking about, right? You got Asgardian terrain on a science fiction, you know, space mat, and then you have a Hydra tank rolling through. I'm like, this is comic books all the way, because it is ridiculous and amazing. Boo, 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 boo. Contrasts well with modern terrain. Yeah, looks like an invading force with future tech. Absolutely, at this point. Yeah, and the tank comes with an ultimate encounter. Like you buy the tank, you get an ultimate encounter for free. Technically not free. We do pay Sarah. You know, development costs. Surprise, development costs. A little secret that you might not have known. Development costs. So yeah, you get the tank. The tank comes with an ultimate encounter. It's Red Skull driving around, trying to run people over. He's got a ability called Fire at Will, or it's one of the attacks. Super cool. Very very fun. Good luck beating the tank. They're not designed to be easy. And then the terrain is just nice terrain and set dressing. Set dressing is just as important as characters to a miniatures game. It's what makes it unique, right? You know, chess would be better with terrain, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like the horsey can't move L shape today because there's a rock spire in his way. Terrain should ask questions and be a vital part of the game state. What we got here? Will's picked on. Who's picking on Will? I don't pick on Wills. None of the Wills here. That's my posse. Okay, I'm just still doing highlighting it, riveting. What other questions we got about the sweet Hydra terrain? Man, that's going on about engineering and sculpting and hard plastic production. Oh, fire at will. Yeah. Got stray hair. Am I gonna break any of the train? Any of the tanks make train? I probably won't. But it's a fun idea. I like it. Maybe I will. I got an idea for a destroyed apartment building, but I haven't finished my first 2 apartment buildings because I've been very busy moving. That looks good enough. It doesn't take much. It does not take much. That's the joy of finding out about terrain. It doesn't take much. Okay, I'm going to lock my finger. Keep my brush right above the surface. Test, 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 test. And drop the beat. Just some little lines. Bum, 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 bum. Everybody's answering that question. What comes on the boxes? I love terrain. And so I love terrain. So I would not be surprised at more terrain for games like Legion. I'm gonna take a little silver, that little dot of blue. That's too much. And some black. Something like that, maybe? Yeah. Do you want to do size 6 terrain, or is that just for the rulebook to show imagination is the limit? I don't know if we'd ever do size 6 terrain. I don't think we've come across anything that we felt the need to do at this point. But you know, the terrain stuff is just suggestions. You know, they're just suggestions. You know, if you want to interact with the Quinjet, by all means, go ahead. I think that things like the Quinjet are interactive in their own unique way. By not being able to remove them, it once again it asks things like questions. So there's things that a miniatures game does, right? It's like, well, all games should do, right? Miniatures game in particular, they ask you questions. So my list should ask my opponent a question. My opponent's list should ask me a question. And I think everybody understands what I'm talking about here philosophically. I believe in you all. Y'all smart cookies. And terrain should ask the same thing. The scenario should ask questions as well. So scenarios asking questions, terrain should ask questions, and your opponent should ask questions. If the terrain is just predictable and uniform across the board, to me that's pretty boring. I want the terrain to present challenges and be like, well, you know what, I can't place there. Maybe something like Malekith, maybe that's part of his interest, is like maybe he can't place in a congested spot. So you got to play around that. You got to think about that question that's being asked of you strategically. You can't look at it like a detriment. Be like, well, I can't place there, so therefore, bad. Well, I can't place there, so where can I place and use it to my advantage and gain advantage upon my opponent? That's good strategy gameplay. That's that chess mind. That's that galaxy mind, right? Getting in there and thinking about stuff. The concrete, I haven't even painted the concrete actually. So this is just airbrush black and gray. I will do the concrete. I'll probably do my standard because tying stuff together and making it look nice and uniform. Sort of like comics, Each artist has their own look on a comic. That's why Spider-Man looks different from different artists. Captain America looks different from different artists. This is my comic book, so I'm probably going to use my concrete recipe that I use on my bases, because this is my comic book run. One might say it's your style. And that's why sometimes, like, even our art and our cards or our sculpts might be a little different. We're really trying to pay homage a little bit to comics, right? It's like a little bit of interpretation there, right? It's just a nice silver, just making these gunmetal-y. Just a quick base coat of silver. Just to say I started on this. Let's go back to the tank because it's the coolest. My painting style is hopes and dreams. I hope the paint I put on looks good, but I'm just dreaming. Nah, if you painted it, it's awesome. Like, it's about getting something done and being proud of the process. And heck, I always, just even the commitment, just like we were talking earlier in one of my earlier streams, just seeing something unfold before your eyes. I'm not on screen, am I? I'm terrible when I don't have my gimbal. Seeing something unfold before your eyes is a very rewarding, and using hobby as like a cathartic release, and just something to let your mind wander and relax to. Even if you just do that, you're kind of winning and succeeding at the hobby. And then you get the reward of like showing up at the local game store and being like, look what I painted. And your friends being like, oh man, dope. Now we can play with it. It's going to look so cool on the table. Paint that narrative. Paint that story. You ever read a comic book with no backgrounds? Boring. You would notice, right? I mean, you definitely notice. I guess it goes to, to that other comment. Everybody wants to be a character artist. Great. Those are a dime a dozen, kid. Learn to draw buildings and find a job every day of your life. Oh, yeah. Getting some of this metal in there. Any tips on painting Malekith and getting over the fear and intimidation he brings as a paint? The intimidation and fear. You know what? We're probably, most likely, almost assuredly, going to do an entire paint stream about painting Malekith on a regularly scheduled Atomic Mass transmissions. So be on the lookout for that. Teaser, spoiler alerts. I have a Malekith over there primed and ready to go. So I would totally suspect that that will be the case. So I'm going to say the best tips will come from that stream, because I'm going to show them to you live. There's no way I could tell you anything right here while painting this tank that'd be better than just watching me do it. He is a lot of fun to paint. So I'll definitely be going over some of the tricks about, not painting white and not using black, stuff like that. And using little scritchy lines to great advantage to make tiger stripes. Scritchy lines. Yeah, anxiety getting ready to paint a showcase miniature like that centerpiece. I totally get that. It's your centerpiece. You want it to look super good. The first thing you gotta ask yourself is, what is your goal as a miniature painter, and what are you comfortable with? Are you a tabletop painter? That's good enough, And then ask yourself, what is the destiny of the miniature you're about to paint? Is the destiny of the miniature you're about to paint for tabletop? Is it for a display? Is it for competition? Is it for the studio? Each one of those things, each one of those answers changes how you should approach a miniature. If it's for tabletop, that's great. If you just want to be a good tabletop painter, that's a perfect goal. And you should never feel like you have to be anything better if that is your goal. And no one should ever make you feel any different. Anybody that tries to tell you need to be better, if that's not your goal, that's unsolicited advice that's unwarranted and unnecessary. If you come to me and you're like, I want to be the best miniature painter in the world, I'll be like, first off, lofty. It's lofty. There's a lot of mini bosses you got to get through to hit that level. But I'll be like, all right, lofty goal. How do you want to get there? Let's talk about how to get there. But you should set your standards and you should set your goals. Set them to what you want to do, what you want to achieve. This is your journey. This is your life. This is your dream and your destiny. And no one can define it but you. So pick where you want to be, and then let's go on that journey together. That's why we do these paint streams every week, is to help people reach and obtain those levels they want. That's why we try to provide a couple different, outlooks and approaches to miniature painting. Quick and dirty 1 hour paint jobs. Sometimes I've done studio painted miniatures on stream, where we're going a little deeper. We're deeper in the weeds, as they say, and think about it philosophically different. And so those paint streams are designed for that. And if everybody wants a more studio style, say it in the chat, and we'll set those up. You know, ask your questions. I love answering questions. Boy, oh boy, love answering questions. I love teaching miniature painting. I'm probably more passionate about that than, actually painting miniatures for myself. I've learned a lot of stuff over the years, and I'm happy to share it. I want to paint those treads, but man, I'm just going to get paint all over my hands. I'm going to try and get everything else done to the treads very, 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 very last. Panels and stuff. I don't know if we'll be doing panels and stuff. I can't say anything about that at this time. We will be doing the Worthy. So I really hope you're excited about the Worthy. I'm excited about the Worthy. If you don't know what the Worthy is, it's a Marvel Crisis Protocol painting event. And we're giving away a giant Odin trophy. But the whole event is designed, to celebrate miniature and the art of miniature painting. But primarily, the primary goal is I wanted to create a miniature painting competition that was focused on individual reward and growth. So it is an open format judging, which means each participant will be judged on their individual merit. So we have gold, silver, and bronze coins. Those will be awarded to each participant who deserves and earns them. So if you paint a gold level miniature, you'll get a gold medal. If you paint a silver miniature, you'll get a silver. So that might mean we might give out 20, 30 gold medals, because everybody, like, you are on your journey and I'm only judging you against you. This is gold level worthy. And I know that is subjective. I'm the judge, along with 2 other people judging, because you can't just have one judge. Like, you gotta have arguments. I love having a good behind the scenes scrap about the subjectivity of some paint application. Those are always fun. But you'll be rewarded a gold or silver or bronze based on that. So that's your own reward in your journey. If you get a bronze and you come to me and you can ask for feedback and you can be like, I got this bronze, I really thought I was a silver. Can you explain to me, like what happened, or not what happened? That's a really negative way to approach it. Like, can you explain to me the bronze and not the silver? I might say, this was probably a high bronze, low silver. Like, it could have gone both ways. I went away with bronze because I feel like you need to push yourself a little bit more and talk philosophically through those nuances of like why you are at that level. So then hopefully next year you go back and you Rocky, you do your Rocky montage for a year, which is the longest montage ever, apparently, when you think about it, a year-long montage. Which you're a montage to me, I guess, because I don't get to see you for a year. When you come back to the next Adepticon with all the feedback and information you learned, and you're like, and I'm like, maybe I award you a silver, maybe it's a gold, maybe it's a bronze again, maybe you didn't take take it serious. I don't know. That's your journey. You're the hero of the journey, not me. I'm just here to guide you. What can I say? But then after the golds, then we start judging against each other. It is true. Where we take each of the golds, we put them up against each other in each category, and we go, well, this is the best in this category, and they get a Mjolnir. So each category will get a 1 gold medal, will be the chosen to get a Mjolnir. And then out of that, each Mjolnir recipient, which there will be 3, one of those will be chosen for the Odin, and get the Worthy, the big, awesome trophy. That's just ridiculous. That thing is the greatest trophy ever made. I swear it's ginormous and awesome. And then just participating, just entering, gets you an awesome patch. That is the silhouette from our Thor sculpt. Did you hold up fingers? No. It's actually the silhouette from our Thor sculpt turned into a patch. This is some sweet lightning bolts. It's pretty cool. How amazing was it to design Red Skull? You guys really gushing during the panel, and you could tell it was a passion project for you, especially since you mentioned that this was a creation of you guys with standing ovation. Love what you guys did. It looks amazing. Do you have to attend to participate? You absolutely have to attend to participate. It's a painting competition. You need to be there. I don't even know how you would not be in attendance to participate. I need to see your miniature. I need to hold it and I need to flip it over and see if you cleaned all the mold lines. Mold lines. I will knock you from mold lines quick. I can spot them from a mile away. Rule number 1, you can't build a good house without a better foundation. The foundation of being a great miniature painter is being a great hobbyist. Rule number 1, kids. There was another question. Oh, the designing the Red Skull. Yes, it was absolutely just amazing to design that Red Skull. And honestly, like several of the miniatures that are our own designs, what a great partnership. Working with Marvel to be able to create these Marvel Crisis Protocol designs. So the Hydra tank, Black Widow Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is our own design. This Red Skull, totally so cool to just design a Red Skull. Just be like, this is the Atomic Mass Games Red Skull. We had a lot of ideas, and we just kind of workshopped through them, and then working with a concept artist, again, getting that knocked out, and then getting it sculpted. Marco did the sculpting on that. Super killed it, just super awesome. So much fun to see that thing come to life. Designing Sentinels was super awesome too. Once again, Dave Kidd, Evan King. Dave Kidd did the sculpting. Evan King came in, did a little bit more tightening up because of the engineering and just added some flavor to it that, once again, I didn't predict. Like, Evan's just like, so what if he had a damaged head? I'm like, that's a cool idea. And he's like, cool, I already sculpted it. Because it's Evan. But making those Sentinels be the multi-part miniature builds that they are, with literally tons of options, right? They have 4 arm options, 6 hand options, ball and socket head, ball and socket torso, ball and socket arm. So you can do a lot with those. Are you reading the? I'm not reading Banner of War currently. I'm behind right now. Rivals is one of our great passion projects, and I don't doubt that you will be seeing more Rivals. We all love it when a Rivals panel comes along on the schedule, and we start concepting it. Everybody gets super excited for those. A lot of fun to work on. I have trouble seeing the mold lines in Type-Base. Fun fact, many professional and like high-end miniature painters, they actually do like a light base coat. Very, very light. I mean, super, super light, usually with an airbrush to on the miniature to identify mold lines, and then you scrape those mold lines off, and then you actually prime the miniature for painting. That's an old school trick. I learned that way early, like in the early 90s. You kind of just do a light misting because plastic, especially metal miniatures, which you don't have to worry about from us. We're not making metal miniatures. But all miniatures have a bit of light reflectiveness to different levels. Metal has a very high light reflection, but plastic does as well. And sometimes you need a little contrast because like it's just gray plastic. So you throw a little highlight, a little primer on there to dull out the light reflecting back at you, and also to create that shadow basically. So you do like a really light white or gray. You'll see those mold lines. You scrape them right off, and then you go boom right back to priming, paint your miniature. It's great. Was the dark well, they're poses. They're posable. They're posable. Thoras, was the dark promo photo of the Sentinel's actual models. Those poses were pretty iconic compared to the photos of the renders. The miniatures are posable, so they can be in different poses. We're not trying to trick anybody. We're showing that they're posable. No hidden agendas. I'm gonna paint this bit silver too. Bly brush. It's definitely something we've talked about. But things take time, and we'll see what happens in the future. So. Sentinel, 2 Sentinels, the Mark IVs, 2 Sentinel Mark IVs in one box. 1 Sentinel Prime in another box, yes. That is correct. You know I'm going to have to paint so much glowy stuff on this control console, right? Like, how do you not? I'm using a big brush. I feel like I'm not getting any coverage. Like, it's like tiny, tiny, tiny swipe, tiny, tiny, tiny swipe, tiny, tiny, tiny swipe. Yes, we confirmed that Sentinels have their own affiliation. And Cassandra Nova is part of it. We confirmed that. Why make Sentinels 2 boxes? Lots of reasons. A lot of ins and outs in choosing boxes and how things are packaged. A lot of questions there. I don't know how much fun it was designing the damage panels. They were just done. Evan just did it. He's a loose cannon, that Evan King. What's my favorite ultimate encounter? I mean, I'm a little bit partial to Hydra tanks because it's a Hydra tank. It's just a big tank rolling around. Kevin, do you have a favorite?
Torn. I like the Hydra tank because they help play test it.
Yeah, Kevin helped playtest the Hydra tank.
But we played Dormammu with a couple of buddies. That was a lot of fun.
I do love the Dormammu Ultimate. I mean, look, my first stop in building a Marvel Crisis Protocol roster is Dormammu, and then I have to talk myself out of it. That guy just clicks with me. You cannot run more than 2 Sentinel Mark IVs. But we did have fun with the tactic cards for those Sentinels. Josh and I got together a lot about those and just kept riffing ideas. When do we get to see the Wolverine's motorcycle? Where's that at? Do you see it over there? I thought it was right here on my desk. Yeah, there's a test shot over broken. But there was a motorcycle right here on the desk. Is it behind the red or the? I knew, kind of, almost. All right, so there's the motorcycle. There he is. It's on a little kickstand. Boop. So you can set it up. It's got some dope saddlebags. Got a little sleeping bag or something there because Wolverine's out. He's looking for answers. So really, really fun. Really, really cool. Absolutely love it. Oh yeah, Trask, Bastion, Nimrod. So many options. I mean, different marks, lots of different marks. I mean, the big one being Cassandra Nova, turning them loose. There's also a bunch of different, there's like sentient sentinels and there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's like 20 varieties, yeah. Well, Cassandra is confirmed as part of the affiliation. She, um, you know, the past 20 years, she's been a very major villain for the X-Men and utilize Sentinels to, one might say, great effect in those stories. Definitely going to be doing mine as cartoon Sentinels. Wait, how long is this stream?
Yeah, 30 more minutes.
Is this a 2-hour stream?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm finding that out now.
Yeah,
Would you have just gone all day?
probably. I'm just hanging out with you, painting miniatures, talking about nonsense. Man, I'm living life, sir. What's your favorite sculpt and why is it Malekith? I don't answer the question of favorites. Don't answer it. Never have, never will. But I will say Malekith is stupid dope. We need some more heavy metal. That's a paint color. Mixed with blue and black. Phalanx. Phalanx are pretty cool. Man, I remember when Phalanx Covenant came out. What was that, 95? 95? Huge crossover event. The Phalanx are pretty interesting. You have characters like Warlock and, Doug Ramsey and Douglock. A lot of fun. Do you ever find yourself needing a break from painting? Absolutely. I mean, the human body processes coffee. And sometimes I take like an actual break from miniature paint. Like I said, this is my passion. This is my thing I've been doing for over 30 years. But even then, sometimes you get a new video game, you just gotta put 300 hours into it. You know what I'm saying? But like earlier, I was talking about motivation. I've had a bit of an epiphany about motivation. Motivation is not something that you have at the beginning of the process. I think that's something we're kind of taught for some reason. I might need to do some research on where that comes from. I feel like it's Greek, right? With the muses, maybe. I don't know. But I don't think that. I think it's a misplacement of motivation. It's not at the beginning. Motivation comes from the act of doing. Once you just start something and you kind of let yourself surrender into it and you start seeing the reward and the process unfold before your eyes, that's where you actually find motivation. And I think that's true for everybody if you step back and give it a try. I mean, I've always said 15 minutes will change your life, because if you just spend 15 minutes a day painting miniatures, you'll actually end up painting for like an hour. And I thought it was just because you got distracted, but I realize now, like I said, I had an epiphany about it, is that's because you're finding motivation. You're finding that inspiration to keep going, and you're seeing results, right? I mean, we all say we're going to work out, but it's not till you see results till you really find it. Like, you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like if you could just lift one box and be like, oh man, there's a little bit of bicep, you'd pick up more boxes for sure. We gotta lift boxes for like 4 hours a day for 8 days, and then, or not 8 days, for 8 months, and you're like, whoa man, I got a little bit of tone. So with miniature paint, or with motivation, I feel like it's something that's in the process. You know, how do I get motivated? You know, some days on Sundays I wake up and I'm like, jammy time, make a pot of coffee, sit down, just gonna relax. And then I'm like, I'm not feeling motivated. But if I just go, you know what? All right, I'm just gonna paint. Go over to the desk, turn on the light, put on some music or a podcast, or you know, a movie. I do like movies when I'm painting alone. I love painting in groups. I love painting with people. It's a very communal thing for me. But I love movies, and I have my go-to paint movies. My kid always joked that depending on what movie he could hear from the living room, he knew that I was painting or not. I just put on a movie or music and just start painting. I pick up a miniature. It might not even be the one I'm working on, right? Something totally random. You know, artists do warm-up sketches, you know, loosey-goosey doodles, or, you know, something they're not actually working on. They just, maybe Kevin's got to engineer Spider-Man today, but maybe to get that brain going, right? That get everything working properly. He, doodles out a, Black Widow, right? Or something like that. Just rough sketch. So like sometimes that works for miniature paint too. Just pick up some random miniature, just something not necessarily on the goals and to-dos of your miniature painting life, and just slap some paint on it and just get some instantaneous reward, right? Like throw a wash on it. Man, you throw a wash on something, you get that hit. That, man, that just looks so good. Look at the contrast. I can really see that armor now. And then you start getting into it because you're seeing that reward, and then the motivation will hit you. Commit to playing in person. I only play painted miniatures. For me, that's just a personal decision. I'm not judging if you don't. That's your life. But for me, not painting them, or not playing with a painted miniature breaks the social contract of a hobby miniatures game. I have a commitment to the table and my opponent to tell a good story and to be a good opponent. And to me, part of that is a painted miniature. I want my opponent to feel like I had the care and time and commitment to the game. Gotcha. That's my thing. And I recognize There's no base options in the work. There's nothing in the works for alternate bases. There's plenty of ways to make your bases yours and unique to your story and your Marvel Crisis Protocol experience. Wait, do you ever run into getting to paint a miniature and feeling less inspired to paint it than others? No, inspiration is a construct, once again. And you can find inspiration by starting. That goes right back to that motivation stuff. You know, you get started in seeing the reward. Like a lot of times it's like a vision thing, right? You can't see the vision of what the miniature is going to look like. So you're just kind of struggling and floundering with it. Getting some paint on there and seeing it come to life a lot of times, majority of the time, will help you define that vision and find that inspiration, that motivation to get it on the table, get it painted up, add to the collection. I'm also a very blue-collary type mentality. I don't really consider myself an artist. I consider myself more of a craftsman. So like, sometimes it's just, well, it needs to be doing. You know, sometimes you just gotta knock out that thing that you're just not feeling. And you know, I believe that 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna even say more than that, 99 times out of 10, it doesn't even make sense and I don't even care, you'll find that motivation in the process. See, these are the kind of Schultzy's here for the kind of questions I'm in for. If you could fill 10 of the same miniatures in a roster, who do you choose? And the answer is Dormammu or Sentinel Mark IVs. Because that's the way I roll. Look, if you can give me a big bad on the table, I'm taking it. I mean, heck, I might take Sentinels with Dormammu. I mean, I am going to do that. And before you ask, it has nothing to do with gameplay. Literally nothing to do with gameplay. What's his secret tech? The secret tech is rule of cool. The rule of cool. Yeah, the bats. Sometimes like a little reward or palette cleanser goes a long, long way. You know, okay, I'm going to paint this. And if I do that, I get to paint this. You know, that's whatever works for you, you know. You know you better than me. I don't know what motivates you. I'm just espousing nonsense philosophical ramblings about how motivation lies within the process. That's a truth I discovered for myself that maybe it applies to you, Maybe it doesn't. But if you help just one person, it's all worth it. You know, like Kamala Khan's dad said, if you save one person, it's worth it. Hello, good sir. How are you? I'm doing great. I'm painting miniatures. In the immortal words of the greatest painter of all time, every day is a good day when you paint. Would Bob Ross become a miniature painter if he was introduced to it? The world will never know. But I can dream. How many Sentinels do I need to pre-order? And don't say all of them. As many as you want? I don't know. As many as you can handle. You can run 2 Mark IVs and a Prime. And then we've confirmed Cassandra Nova as affiliation. Of course, you're very welcome. I love answering questions about Sentinels. Are you kidding? I've been dreaming about this day my whole life. Okay, some silver bits on that. Looks pretty good. That doesn't gotta be perfect because it's going to get black wash. I think that's enough silver on there. Maybe this little handle. No, this thing. Yeah. What else we got here? Cowboy Hat Logan, super dope. Did we try any versions with the hand cables? We actually did talk about it. It became kind of an engineering thing. Plugging the cables into the palms creates like a key. Of course, once you create a key, you start making parts. And we decided to go with 6 different hands instead of having 6 different hands with parts that you have to choose for non-cables and cables. And then the size of the cables to make them interesting, they would have to be multiple parts. We went through several iterations of that. So we did talk about it. it just didn't work for like several reasons. It just wasn't super effective. I think you could totally convert something very easily to do that, though. It wouldn't take much to make some really cool cables for your Sentinels. Probably use like guitar strings, or what I probably do is get there's a couple different products where you can like kind of make your own cables out of sculpting putty and put wires in them and just do them out, roll it out in putty and pose them. Uh-oh. Gah. Right TV, 4 arms, 2 right, 2 left, 6 hands, 3 right, 3 left. Yes. That is correct. And then everything's on ball sockets, so you can pose them. Which was a fun challenge. Fortunately, the engineering team just knocked it out. It was like, can we do this? And they're like, yeah, we can. Done. Do it. Uh-oh, what do we do? Are we picking up the neighbors? They're being very loud. They're very loud. Yeah, jewelry wire? That could work. So many ways to achieve in hobby. There's no singular path to victory. Uh-oh. We only got like just about 10 minutes. We've just been playing Hydra Train talking about Sentinels. So we'll be wrapping up shortly. Now it's time to finish out those questions, get them in, let me answer them. Because then, after this, we're going to do the closing ceremonies to Ministravaganza. We've been hanging out all weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hanging out, painting, talking, revealing stuff. Lots of cool reveals. What was your favorites? What panels would you like to see in future Ministravaganzas? Ooh. Asking the tough questions now, Dallas. I know I've had a blast. Hopefully you've had a blast. Hanging out, painting, checking out the game streams. Thank you, JS Twitch. We don't pick favorites. You're now my favorite. How long is closing ceremonies? I don't know. Probably not super long. Be Schick and Simone going over some stuff. A panel with the engineers. Trickier than you think. Trickier than you think. Marco was on one panel. Marco is our sculpting director, but he has spent years in that engineer chair. So he answers a lot of that. I typically answer a lot of those kind of questions. Like I said, every week we do these painting streams. You can join us and ask all kinds of questions about painting. You can ask about engineering, you know, especially if I'm on the stream. Ask about engineering and interesting stuff like that, and I'll go over it. The process, sort of like how things get designed. Usually requires a lot of yelling at each other. Not in a bad way. In that Josh Passion way. So I did dark metal, now I'm going over with light metal and just kind of bringing some contrast in before doing washes. On a long enough timeline, anything is possible. Given enough time, we hope we could do everything in Marvel. Is always the answer when it comes to specifically confirm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, every character is somebody's favorite. And if you know anything about me, I want everybody to have their favorites, even if I don't have favorites. So, yeah, on a long enough timeline, you know, anything could happen. Panel on organized play, crisis cards is always interesting from the design, yeah. Art panel. Dazzler win. Oh man, I love Dazzler.
Creeping.
Just keep crashing my streams.
Look, stop stealing my miniatures. I won't crash your streams.
I didn't steal anything.
It's not what the tape shows.
I'm pretty sure those were my measures he just took.
I think literally, yeah.
He took my measures. Why is he taking my measures? I didn't walk out with those. Just abuse. Okay, we got what? 8 minutes?
Ish, yeah.
How's it been? A great weekend. Thanks to all at AMG. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for being part of the great community. We appreciate all the feedback. And they realized I didn't steal anything and they weren't his miniatures.
No, I took mine. I brought back yours because I'm not a thief. Like you.
Like me, apparently. Go prep for your stream. I said that when he's gone. That felt really weak. He's got the closing ceremonies. What is he doing in my office? I need to start putting your name on the bottom of your minis. Yeah, I know, right? This guy has a closing ceremony. He doesn't need miniatures. No more questions? See, this is where we argue. Disco Dazzler is best. I'm sorry. She just is. This faux punk rock dazzler. Now I'm just trying to start controversy. It's the end of the day. $5 I'm just going to keep painting these tanks.
Paint it on screen.
Oh, that'd be smart. I didn't figure they need to see anyways. They're just arguing about dazzlers. Nobody's paying attention to me now. I actually have my my comic book dealer looking for a Uncanny X-Men number 130 right now for me. Because I need an Uncanny 130. Do I have a favorite type of brush? I like a good watercolor brush with a fat belly and a fine tip. Typically, I paint with whatever brush I grab. I mean, this is a size 5. It still has a really tiny tip. I love it. I said I love it. What am I doing? I know, I'm way over there. Look, the camera's in a weird spot. Pineapple pizza? Heck yeah. What? Wait, did I spoil a Hulk? I deny everything. You know, a place in Galveston that has an uncanny 130? Well, I'm not driving to Galveston. That's so far away, man. One minute. Not enough time to talk about Hulks. Alright, we only got 1 minute left. I'm going to keep painting. I'm going to talk about ending here while I paint, but I'm not going to stop painting. I'm just going to keep painting. So get ready. We're going to kick it over to, in just a few moments, we're going to start the closing ceremonies. Take two. Start again. Camera, action. Thank you. We're going to kick it over to the closing ceremonies with Mr. Will Schick and Simone Elliott to end off our Ministravaganza. What is this, number 3? We're going to do it. Close enough. So get ready for that. We'll see you later and have a good